thing is yes, the first 4, 5, 6 months, maybe I only got one listing, but it was that consistency over a long period of time. And then what happens is it starts becoming the snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Imagine closing over $100,000 in GCI every single month from free Facebook groups, the ideal clients coming directly to you every single month, breaking over 6 figures in closed transactions. Well, that's exactly what my special guest has been able to do today. I bring on one of my good partners, John Michael Perez out of Austin, who breaks down his insanely profitable Facebook group strategy that's allowing him to break 7 figures per year in GCI with his real estate team, just doing stuff that he loves, going out and playing sports, going for tacos, linking up with people that all have similar interests, but are turning into massive amounts of closed transactions with the ideal clients. So in this video, John actually breaks down absolutely everything. Nothing gets held back. He breaks down why he started Facebook groups, how he started them, the exact ninja tricks that he does in order to get mass amounts of the right people into those groups, and then how he converts them into clients and closed deals, and even the newsletter that he sends out in order to continue to nurture his database with them. This is an insanely valuable video, and you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the end for this one. Now, 2 quick things before we get started. Number 1, I'm going to link all of John Michael's incredible content below. He actually has a top 10 ranking podcast in the entire industry. It's filled with a wealth of knowledge as he features some of the top producers in the industry. You want to make sure to check that out. And secondly, if you want to talk more with John Michael about partnering with him and getting his direct support to create your own highly profitable Facebook groups, you can click the link in the description and book a one-on-one Zoom call with him. So without further ado, let's show you how to exponentially scale your production with ideal clients by leveraging free Facebook groups. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another incredibly exciting video where we're going to be diving in today a topic that is very near and dear to my heart and has allowed me people to have absolutely massive success, but nobody's really talking about it. When it comes to Facebook, everybody talks about Facebook ads or just Facebook business page, but not many people talk about how to thrive with Facebook groups. So that's what we're going to be doing today. John Michael Perez on here. Super excited to have you on, dude. What's going on?
Hey, I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. You know, I think you've seen such incredible success by just pouring into your community, leveraging these Facebook groups and being able to over deliver on value and establish that like, know, and trust factor. So we're going to dive into the tactical aspect of that. But before we do, just give people a quick rundown as to who you are, where you're from, and what kind of got you to this point. And then we'll start diving into Facebook groups.
Yeah, man, my name is John Michael Perez. I grew up in South Texas, moved to a few of the bigger cities in Texas, and finally planted in Austin, Texas. I love it. I love our community up in North Austin. It's a small town, not a small town, growing fast growing town in Leander, Texas, just outside of Austin. But it's really cool. You know, a little bit about me. Grew up on welfare, dilapidated trailer, the whole nine. You know, I was never around successful people, so I had this big confidence issue back when I first got into real estate because I didn't believe in myself. And, you know, over the years, you know, I just found great mentors, surrounded myself with the right people, and it really changed my life. And then I'm super grateful that I can pour into my community from all the knowledge that I learned from them. Yeah,
I think that's awesome. And obviously you and I share similar coaches in terms of arete and having that mindset to kind of push through, especially these quirky times in the market right now. Now, before starting to dive into the Facebook groups, just give people a quick synopsis of your success in real estate as well, because you didn't just, you know, find solo success. You've also built a team and have been able to help other agents scale as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been on part of a few teams, and I've realized that, you know, there's so many ways that there's success within teams. But what I found is that if you just lead with a ton of value and, you know, you can hold people accountable, but really they're only going to push themselves so hard. So one, if we lead with value and then we lead by example as team leaders, that they're going to follow suit. And if they don't follow suit, then they're going to fall off, and you probably don't want them on your team anyway. So yeah, I was the top producer last year at my previous brokerage, and every month, several six-figure months as my individual production, but also as a team, we're doing amazing numbers as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think it's a testament to you. And I like that you talked about leading by example, because, I've known you for a couple of years, and every time we connect, I always see that, you're hyper consistent, you're always innovating, you're always trying to find that next thing to show your agents, but you practice it based on your own efforts instead of just telling your agents, like many team leaders, oh, here's the thing we should be doing. No, John executes it first, proves it, and then shares it with the team based on actual tangible data. So I love that about you, and you've been an incredible leader. So it's been cool to see your agents and the success that they've had. So, now shifting gears to Facebook groups, I would love to kind of set the tone and the foundation as to what kind of led you toward Facebook groups in general, as saying, this is something I would like to dive into.
Yeah. So, what's crazy is today is exactly 2 years from our very first Facebook group event, in-person Facebook group event. And so what I realized is that there's a lot of cities out there where people are moving to, but they do not know anyone, right? And so that gives us an opportunity to provide a source of knowledge and also connection, right? And so when we can provide that space for connection, you build so much credibility so fast, right? And so what's really cool is that, just yesterday, we have several events almost weekly. We have basketball, Taco Thursdays. We have Fridays we run, and we've got 20, 30, 40 people. It's not always the same people, but we're starting to build this ecosystem of trust, right? And so what's really cool is that, we're starting to connect. We connect, the dads in this group, or, I actually have a teammate that has a women's group as well. And so we're just connecting people with local experts. And then what happens is that the law of reciprocity, the more you connect people with good people, the more they start thinking about you as the agent that they want to work with.
I love that. And I think it goes back to, a concept that you and I learn all the time in things like Arte, which is just being a genuine value-driven resource. I think a lot of people are always looking at what's in it for me. If it's not about a residential real estate purchase or sale, I don't want to have a conversation about it. Whereas, especially now, this is such an important time to lean into what you're talking about with the shifting market, because there's going to be a lot of people that are saying, hey, based on interest rates, now's not the time. I want to move when things come back to whatever is comfortable for them. So they're thinking 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the road. And if you're only looking at these immediate instant gratification conversations, they're going to work with the person that in 6, 18, 24 months down the road are still in touch with them, still pouring value into them. And I think your position on that is so powerful. And before diving into additional strategy, I think it just leans into why people actually get into real estate, right? We hear people all the time say they get into real estate because they love working with people, they love connecting people, and it's like, but then you look at how they generate leads, and it's in no way, shape, or form relevant to what they like, which is connecting with people. So I really love that. Now, when it comes to Facebook groups, what kind of groups are you creating is kind of the first component. And then the question always becomes, after creating the group, what are you actually doing to post in there, nurture, and kind of establish these relationships? Because you're actually the first person I've talked to that leans into actual in-person events. Most people I just see just post and post and post, but you've taken like an actual intimate, tangible approach to this.
Yeah, it's really cool. And for all the listeners, I'm going to get really tactical if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna tell you all the secrets, and I'm just gonna give it all. I'll put it all on the table if that's okay. So first off, consistency, like everybody else talks about. How do we lead with value? And so a few ways that you can lead with value is there's several local sources of news that you can share that news on a consistent basis within that Facebook group. The question is how do you get started? So in my opinion, the more niche that you get with your local area, the better. So for me, let's say you like motorcycles and you live in Cedar Park, that's a small city that's outside of Austin. So Cedar Park motorcycle lovers, right? And so now what happens is that you have several people that you have something in common with in that same area, right? And so now you're building trust based off of, oh, he likes motorcycles as well. He likes Honda. I don't know. He likes Harley. But what's really cool is that, you know, you have these things in common. And so now when you say, hey, we're going to be meeting up at XYZ, it's so much easier because when people want to meet up, they want to meet up with people that they have something in common with, right? And so here's the secret sauce. Get ready. So one of the hardest things is like, how do I get leads information, right? RSVP, right? So now what we do is we set up a funnel page. We say, hey guys, you know, we set up this event for next Friday. It's going to be at Chase Bank, outside of Chase Bank. Once everything's closed, we're going to be hanging out with all of our motorcycles. And I just need to know how many people are going to show up, right? So here's a funnel page just so that I know who's coming, because we're going to bring some food that's going to be paid for by sponsors, right? So we're not paying for this food. We're not paying for anything that we're bringing. We're actually partnering up with sponsors to pay for that. And then now these motorcycle lovers that live in Cedar Park that have something in common with you are putting their information on a funnel page. Now you have their information, and then you can use that information, put it in a CRM with all about Cedar Park motorcycle lovers, and then sprinkle a little bit of value in real estate.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I love that, again, you're leveraging sponsors to help with costs, because everybody looks at these initiatives and say, well, I can't afford that. Things are difficult. Nope. You don't have to. You just have to be resourceful and find people who can afford that, and you all win together. Now, when it comes to the funnel, are you using ClickFunnels, or using Eventbrite, or what kind of approach are you using, the RSVP and like Facebook in events, or what's kind of your approach there?
Yeah, so a few things. One, I have my assistant make a flyer that has the time, the date, and the sponsor and what we're providing, right? So free drinks. A lot of times it's free drinks. And what's cool is that when you sponsor with local vendors, when you partner with local vendors, they actually get leads from these events, right? So we partnered with a guy named Jeff here in Leander, and he is with State Farm. He's an insurance guy. I got some great tips coming here. Okay, so basically, what happens is that when you partner with these people, and that they're willingly, yeah, I'd love to pay for food, I love to pay for drinks. People have a good time, right? But what's really cool is that these guys have leads as well. That these guys get leads as well, and that they're happy to pay for a sponsorship.
Yeah, that's awesome. And let's dive into some of those cool strategies that you're talking about, because I know people are going to be excited, but I think that sets the tone so perfectly, because I also find one of the crutches people always have, or the complaints that people have, is like, I don't want to just post constant, real estate content and seem like that salesy agent. But as you alluded to, you've tapped into communities. For me, it was the car community and the mountain bike community. And you're actually having fun while doing business. And I think a lot of people haven't found a way to actually enjoy the process of building connections and generating leads, because they're always taught by a coach, a broker, a team leader, or whatever, that there's one way to do it, which is pick up the phone, pound it all day, or hit the doors. Like, that's not it. It works, but there's also value-driven ways where you can have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super fun. I play basketball twice a week with mostly dads. And so my personal Facebook group that I really dive in on is my Leander Cedar Park Dads group, right? And another really cool thing is that we have a newsletter that goes out. It actually went out this morning. And what's really cool is that when you make it a private group, you can actually ask questions that are qualifying questions to get into the group. And within those questions, you can ask for their email. And one really cool strategy is that within that question, you let them know how many people have already subscribed to it, right? So like so would you like to have to be a part of the newsletter? We already have 600 plus dads that are a part of that newsletter. So it's a little bit of social proof. Oh, other dads are doing it, so I want to be a part of it as well.
That's awesome. I love that. And I've, I can attest to this because I've done certain strategies and different avenues before, and it works absolute wonders. Now, here's going to be the question that I know a lot of people are going to have, which is, okay, I'm going to do the group, I'm going to get people together, but where does real estate fit into it in terms of like, what type of real estate content would you post in the group, or what's kind of like a strategy? Because one of the things that I hear from people is like, Mike, I've been doing this for so long, I have all these people interested and everybody's engaging, but nobody's converting. So what's that kind of journey look like for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. So one, like we said in the very beginning, we lead with value, right? We're not really talking too much about real estate the entire time, but on Tuesdays, we have this special day only on Tuesdays where we call it Business Tuesdays, right? So we allow any and every business to promote. But the thing is they can only promote on my post, right? And on my post, it's a picture of me with my clients closing a deal, right? And so on there, I say, hey guys, today is the day. If you want to promote your business, there's been literally millions of dollars of deals within this Facebook group that have happened based off of the connections, the trust, the credibility that we've already made. So you should definitely post today on Business Tuesday, which is the only day we allow. Other people, they'll try to promote their business on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we click decline because it's not on Tuesday. And so, yes, we promote our business on Tuesdays as well as on the newsletter. It's going to be somewhere on the bottom. And then also, I just lead with relationships, right? And so somebody asked me yesterday, actually 2 days ago at Taco Thursdays, like, how are you selling so many houses in a market where interest rates are so high? And I told them, I said, look around. We have 20 dads right now eating tacos. And who is the real estate agent that the first person they're thinking of? Because every Thursday I'm eating tacos, I'm hanging out. And honestly, I don't really talk too much about real estate. But as soon as their reticular activating system starts revving up and they think about real estate, they're thinking about John Michael Perez. So yeah, I hope that answered that question a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And there's two things to unpack there. The first is, and I don't know if people caught this, but approval of posts, because I think this is so important that when you're going to start some sort of Facebook group, having both guidelines and pending approvals is so important, because, I've started Facebook groups before and there's always going to be these dingbats that are in there trying to just absolutely destroy the group or post nonsense or, recruit or solicit or do whatever in there. And, that takes away from it. So I think having the settings properly is going to be important, but also I'm sure you have kind of like community guidelines of saying none of this, none of that, please be respectful, and all these things to kind of just set the tone of the actual group, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, I had a buyer consultation with a dad recently, and he said, John, this group is way different than every other group because there's not drama, there's not gossip. Like, what are you doing differently? And like you said, we set those guidelines from the very beginning. And within the Facebook group rules for that particular Facebook group, we don't allow politics, for the most part, religion, any type of gossip. We're only there to lift each other up, to be a positive environment. And it really shows when, that really shows when you see dads making friends with other dads and then going on vacation to Hawaii, right? It's like they didn't know each other, but we allowed this environment to where people trust each other. They start building genuine friendships because they want to be in that environment because it's conducive to what they're looking for, which is connection.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, the other thing I wanted to touch on is that you're just playing the long game of relationships, right? I find right now, especially where agents are just like so commission breath heavy and they like need the deal, they're just pushing, and anybody that's not willing to make a decision today, they're basically saying, well, screw it, I'm on to the next one. And, when you look at your approach, I get asked this all the time about Facebook groups, is like, Mike, well, how long will it take if I do this in order to get a client? And my response, and I would love to get your take on this, is, well, if you do it forever, you're inevitably going to get a client, right? So I think instead of asking when you're going to get a client, just understand that if you pour into people, lead with enough value, and connect enough of the right people, it's nearly impossible for you not to get clients because you put volume in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I've had, like I said earlier, I've had multiple six-figure months, making over six-figure years in a month, but it took me 2 years to get there, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is yes, the first 4, 5, 6 months, maybe I only got one listing, but it was that consistency over a long period of time. And then what happens is it starts becoming the snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's another really big tip that I tell everybody, all of my sponsors and any of the agents. I say this: I want you to leverage other people's trust, right? This is like one of the most important things, right? You leverage other people's trust within that Facebook group, and all you do is say, hey, it was a super good time, helping you with this transaction. It was super smooth. Hey, I just had one quick question. Is it okay if you go in the dad's group and make a testimonial for me, right? I'll send you a picture from our closing, and can you just say something really good? Because it really helps my business. It helps me put food on my table, and every single client will do that for free. You don't have to give them an incentive, but if you do, great. But every single client will do that. And what happens is like I said earlier, you start building this ecosystem of trust, right? And so if they're hanging out with their friends at Taco Thursdays, and they're going to basketball on Fridays with the dads, and then they're going to happy hour once a month, right? And then they see that friend say they worked with John Michael Perez and it was an amazing experience, then I'm leveraging their trust. And it's like the easiest close. When I walk into a listing appointment or when I walk into a buyer's appointment, I'm not trying to prove who I am. I'm not trying to really talk about my stats. I'm not trying to tell them, oh, well, I sold 8 homes this month or 30 homes this month. It's because they already trust their friend, and their friend had an amazing experience as well.
I love that, dude. I think, it goes back to something that I preach all the time, which is earned media and leveraging other people's audiences. And I think it's so important because, I always tell people that if you don't call the action, no action gets taken. And so many people are hesitant. They're like, well, what if they don't want to post? It's like, well, number one, you're never going to find out if you don't ask. But number two, if you've actually done a good job, why would they not? Right. And I think if you pour into the customer journey and make it a memorable experience, why would they not want to do that after you just poured hours of time into them, helping them get the solution and the desired outcome that they just had? So I think that's incredible, dude. And kind of going into the next phase of this, do you want to talk about maybe any mistakes or common mistakes you see people have when it comes to Facebook groups?
Yeah, I can do that. Some common mistakes. I'm going to give some common mistakes and some things that I wish I knew sooner. Okay.
Yeah.
One is that you got to make sure that you partner up with the right people. Now, I will say you can't do everything alone, right? And then a lot of times people don't want to do anything unless it benefits them. But unfortunately, when people see that there's an audience coming in to this environment that you're building, they want to be a part of it, right? And so you really have to vet the people you allow, and especially if they don't align with your morals, your integrity. You've got to make sure that you nip it in the butt from the very beginning, or else, unfortunately, it will cause a cancer within that environment, right? And so one really cool thing is that we vet the people that we allow to lead within the group. And then 2, we nip things in the butt very quickly. And then, and so some things that I wish I would have done sooner was leveraging other people that are local influencers in the area to actually lead. I think a lot of people probably come from the mindset of scarcity, where it's like, well, I hope they don't get too much influence within that group. When in reality, if we collaborate and we work together, the group grows faster. It's really cool. You know,
Yeah.
we got this barbecue expert in our area, and he's huge. He's got a lot of influence in the area. And he said, John, I really want to lead a monthly social food group, right? Like just an event. And it's really cool because now he's bringing his audience into our environment, and it's just growing and growing. And just like those deals that continuously grow and get bigger and bigger, our environment is getting bigger as well.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I think, you know, going in with the right intent and the integrity there is so powerful, and leveraging these other people, because like if people like this barbecue guy and they see that he's collaborating with John Michael Perez, well, pretty safe to say that they're only going to collaborate if they also like each other. So you're now able to just leverage mass scale of these collaborations instead of looking at it saying, well, I'm selfishly just going to do this myself because I want everything. And it's like, okay, do you want 100% of 10 people, or do you want, you know, 10% of 10,000 people, right? And that's the conversation that needs to be had. So, you know, kind of pulling that full circle on the retrospective, do you have any kind of best tips of advice or best strategies, or anything for people that are going to say, okay, I'm about to start a Facebook group like today in my local market center? You know, what would you tell that person to make sure that they're set up for massive success, that are actually going to implement everything that you talked about?
Yeah. One, you know, like I said at the beginning, make it niche, make it something that you love doing, and make it a part of your day, right? It's just like going on social media and, you know, scrolling through things that you love, you know, just make it a part of your day, right? It doesn't have to be a job. To me, it's not a job. I literally get leads by playing basketball, by having tacos, by going to happy hour, right? Like I love it. And what's cool is like yesterday, I think 3 or 4 people came up to me and they're like, John, are you John from the Leander Cedar Park Dads group? You know? But basically, so your question was, how do people get started, right?
Yeah, what's best piece of advice, kind of on the perspective side, and you know, the mindset aspect of it?
Yeah, so I will say, you know, it's going to take some time to get everything ramped up. One, I would say, is already start to get sponsors for your events, as well as the more proof of concept, the more people that can come out to those events, the more sponsors are going to want to be a part of it. I would just promote. You know, I sort of see myself as a promoter. I'm getting people to these events and just socializing as much as possible, talking to as much people as possible, and connecting with people as much as possible. So that's sort of the mindset that I'm constantly thinking about is how do so you've said this before, but one of the best gifts you can give someone is knowledge, training, and connection, right? So if you connect people, if you're constantly thinking about, hey, I wonder who would help this guy, right? And if you connect this guy with this guy and they actually work together and they collaborate really well, and they think of you, you know, I helped a friend of mine, some friends of mine, actually, they did an interview with Grant Cardone. And all I did was say, Grant, you need to talk to these guys because they've got a big audience, right? It was the easiest connection. And so now they did an interview. Now they're thinking, what do we do for John? You know,
Yeah.
but I'm really thankful. And that wasn't my mindset at the beginning, or that wasn't my thought. But it's just really cool that when you connect people, it's a free gift. And the law of reciprocity: the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think it's important just to take away one of the key concepts there, which is, you know, going into these networking opportunities with intent. And I think what I find with a lot of people is they'll set up a networking opportunity like that, and they'll go with like a couple friends. And if you go with other people, you're just going to talk to other people and you're not going to connect with new people. And I think it's not always what you do, but rather how you do it. And you can go to those events and not get a whole lot out of it, even though you've got all these new people in the room. If you're just sitting back waiting for things to happen, you know, you actually have to take a stance and say, I'm here, I pulled this together, I'm going to go meet everyone humanly possible and pour into them and say, how can I be a resource for them? So I think people need to be mindful of how you approach these things, not just the act of actually approaching them. So, as we pull this full circle, dude, it's exciting because there's going to be people that are going to have questions about like, John, can I see the Facebook group? Can I see the newsletter and all of these things? And you've recently made a transition where that kind of allows for you to do that for certain people, where you've kind of went from a traditional brokerage, local boutique brokerage, to partnering with our group over here. And now people have the incredible opportunity to get the help of both of us on all the marketing, branding, lead gen, and everything that we've done. Talk to people first maybe about what made you make the decision, and then what can people expect when partnering with you and thus the both of us?
Yeah, I think people don't realize the power of working with the right people. There's just so much power in that. There's just so much benefit to collaborating with the right people. And I see the wolf pack day in and day out doing what they say they're actually going to do, right? A lot of people are words, but the people that are actually getting results are action. And so I'm just, super impressed with the wolf pack for sure. But your question was how can they work with me?
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's so now that people can work with us, what can they expect when aligning with you? Because they're going to get my help on the social media side with marketing, branding, advertising, lead gen, and everything that I've been able to help people scale for free. But now they also get your ninja strategies on things like Facebook groups, podcasting. Like, what does that look like? And what are you going to do to help people take their business to the next level?
Yeah, man. So we actually have a free podcast. It's called Real Estate Virgins Podcast. It's top 10 in the US. And we're just giving tons of value at all times, right? We're also doing a mastermind call on Sunday nights. If you're free, it's completely free. It's just, we're pouring into agents because we found the more we give, the more we get. So we're just going to give. We're putting it all out on the table. And we genuinely want agents to succeed because we don't succeed unless they succeed. And so it's really cool. I love the environment that you've created, Mike. It's absolutely insane, super epic. And I'm super thankful for all you've done already, man.
Likewise, man, the feeling's mutual. And I think especially as the market continues to get more difficult, I always tell people, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you don't make a change in your business and align with the right people that genuinely want to pour into you, actually want to see you succeed, then your business will not change. You'll probably be in the same or worse position in 12 months from now than you are today. So I think as we start to go through the remainder of this year and in the new coming year, you really need to, as John Michael said, align with the right people that have the strategies that you're looking to execute on and are willing to actually give you the blueprint without holding things back, knowing that with this unique model, we all win together. And I think, that collaboration over competition mentality is so important because that's exactly what this has created. So John, again, thank you so much, brother, for coming on and sharing all your incredible tips. And for anybody that does want to know more about John's incredible strategies, again, being able to get a glimpse behind the scenes, you do now have an opportunity to partner with both of us and get all that for free. So if you want that, click the link in the description, book a call, and we'll see you guys in the next video.